Imagine for a moment it's 1942 and you're a young British soldier fighting in North Africa against Rommel's Afrika Korps. Eventually, after several harrowing battles, you and your mates are in Cairo for some much needed R&R. After a night on the town, you wake up with an incredibly killer hangover. Desperate to find something to get rid of the pounding in your head, you stumble into the Hotel Shepheard, where you find salvation in a restorative called the Suffering Bastard. Welcome back to the Florida Rum Explorer. I'm Brian, and today we're going to talk about the Suffering Bastard, a classic cocktail from 1942, a wartime cocktail that was developed by a bartender named Joe Sialam, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, in the Hotel Shepheard in Cairo, Egypt. Now, the interesting thing about this cocktail is that it was developed as a hangover cure for Allied troops. They'd go on R&R, they'd tie one on for the night, they'd have a hangover the next morning, and they need something to get rid of that. So Joe went and did a little bit of the hair of the dog that bit you, and add some ginger beer to it, knowing that ginger has supposedly a lot of good health benefits, like being able to prevent indigestion, help settle an upset stomach, that sort of thing. And it became such a hit that the soldiers, when they were out there, they would often partake in it. But there's even a story at one point before a major battle. The British realized that a lot of their soldiers were unable to fight because they had had a fun night before. They were all really hungover. So the British actually sent a message to the hotel asking for several gallons of Suffering Bastards to be made up and shipped over to the front lines. So Joe, being a good guy, he went and made, I think it was 8 to 10 gallons of it. Sent it over to the front lines in a taxi, and the rest is history. So, how many cocktails can you say can actually lay claim to helping to win World War II? Trouble is, I don't think most people know what a Suffering Bastard is, or they've ever heard one before. I doubt anybody's going to walk into a bar these days and tell the bartender, "I'll have a Suffering Bastard." It's a little departure from this channel as well because there's no rum in it, but that's okay. This is a gin-based cocktail. But I think, if you try it out, you're going to enjoy it as much as I do. I only have it on occasion because I'm not really a huge gin fan, but every now and then it hits the spot. So, what goes into a Suffering Bastard? Very easy list of ingredients. So we're going to start off with 1 ounce of gin. Now, the recipe calls for London Dry Gin. I'm using Bombay Sapphire here. And I got to tell you, I originally thought, hang on one second, I almost lost my shaker for a second. I originally thought Bombay Sapphire was a older gin with a long history. Turns out it's actually from 1986. So, not that that matters, but 1 ounce of gin. Gonna put in there. Because I was going to try to find something that was a little more period correct to the time, but that's fine. 1 ounce bourbon. Now, I've seen the recipe also call for brandy. I don't really care for brandy, so I'm going to use the bourbon version of it. I'm not 100% sure which is the original version. I've seen different accounts on various listings of the recipe. My guess is it was probably brandy based on the time and where they were in the world. So we got 1 ounce gin, 1 ounce bourbon. Now we're going to do a half an ounce of lime juice. So half an ounce of fresh squeezed lime juice in there. 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. 1, 2, probably 3 or 4, but that should be fine. Then we're going to cap it off. And we're going to do a shake. Make sure it's all incorporated. Now we're going to take a Collins glass. Already have ice in it. Pour it in. Make sure you get all that goodness in there. And then you're going to take ginger beer. I'm using Barrett's ginger beer, the same stuff I used back when we did the Dark and Stormy a few episodes back. And you're going to top it off. Okay. Now, stir it up. And you want to serve it, or garnish it rather, with a sprig of mint. Love the smell of mint. Like that. And there you go. That is the Suffering Bastard from 1942, Hotel Shepheard in Cairo, Egypt, made as a hangover cure. Tasty, very good. You definitely get the aromatics and the botanicals out of the gin in there. Definitely getting the bourbon in there and the ginger beer. Ginger beer is probably a little on the stronger flavor because there's a bit more of it in there. But I can see how this would, kind of help somebody kind of come back to life the next day after a long night out before. Very good recipe, very good drink. Interestingly enough, there is a tiki version of this cocktail developed by Trader Vic. If you read the recipe on that one, it actually turns out to just be a very, very strong Mai Tai. The exact same ingredients as a Mai Tai, just different proportions of the ingredients. But I wanted to stick with the historic recipe here, the actual recipe from World War II. Also, a funny little note is that apparently, like the British officers and the gentry didn't like the name the Suffering Bastard because, of course, it wasn't proper. So they had things like the Suffering Bar Steward and things like that. But the original name was the Suffering Bastard. And hey, it's a fun name to say. And if you do get a chance, try to quiz your bartender. Walk up and say, "Hey, I'll take a Suffering Bastard," and I think you'll like it. So until next time, everyone. Take care.